Hello, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another Disc Golf Nerd in the Bag update video for mid to late November 2021. This will be my last in the bag video for the year. It's been a great year, posted a ton of content, tried really hard to increase the quality of the content as well, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. And thank you very much for watching, supporting the channel, and being part of the experience here. I appreciate you all very, very much. Big shout out to the Disc Golf Nerd Patreon support team for their continued support throughout this year. It's been really, really helpful, and I truly appreciate that as well. If you guys have been following along with the channel, you know that I am a member of Team Upper Park. So I'm carrying the Shift, I'm carrying the Rebel, and I'm carrying Upper Park bags exclusively. If you are interested in this bag, or the Rebel, or the Trainer, the Pinch bag, any of those bags, I have videos about them here on the channel for more information if that's what you're looking for. Or if you're ready to order, please consider using my code DiscGolfNerd10. You'll get 10% off your order, and you'll help support me and the channel directly, and I appreciate you very much. I appreciate Upper Park. They've hooked me up with so many great bags, and we have a lot of exciting new stuff coming next year as well. You guys want to definitely stay tuned for. So in this Shift bag here, I have all of my core discs, and these are the discs that I want to have with me basically no matter where I go. And then, as always with my in the bag videos, I switch it up a little bit based on where I'm headed. If I'm headed to a short technical woods course, I'm not going to be bringing distance drivers if I don't need them. And if I'm headed out to Blue Lake, I'm not going to have a bunch of throwing putters and approach discs like that and stuff, because a lot of those longer courses, I'm throwing a Havoc and I'm throwing an approach shot, and that's basically it. Or I'm throwing a Havoc and then I'm throwing another Havoc and then I'm throwing another Havoc and then I'm throwing another Havoc and then I'm throwing an approach disc. So yeah, I basically changed my bag around based on that, but these are the main discs and they're loaded up in my Shift here, and then we're going to grab my Rebel and I'll show you some of the extra stuff that is either backups, stuff I'm testing, that sort of thing. So let's get into it. First of all, I have putters and mids down the middle, drivers on the outside. That's the way I like to set up my Shift. I love the way this bag organizes, and I love how comfortable and lightweight it is. I also love my little mushroom guy that my good friend Fallon made for me. I added him onto the bag recently. And I'm putting with the Pure. I have Eco Pures. These are the ones I've been using for the last few months, and I like them quite a bit for sure. I've never really used a really firm, rigid plastic like this. It's kind of akin to like a KC Pro type plastic in feel. It's a little more slick, not as grippy as like a soft or medium. But I really like the way that these come out of the hand. I like the flight. They're very neutral, and they just kind of hold the line. I can kind of pop them up there on a hyzer and let them stall and drop towards the basket, which I like to do kind of around the corner sometimes, or trying to stretch out a longer putt. A lot of times it's easier for me to pop it up high and let it swing in than to go straight at a long putt. But these are the ones I've been using the most. I am experimenting with some soft Pures that we're going to see later in the video, but I have been using the Ecos for a while. Part of the reason why I switched to the Pures, and I've kind of adjusted my bag in general based on this, is that they're very readily available. They're very, very unlikely to go out of production as one of the most kind of core foundational discs from Latitude 64. They've been around forever. They're extremely common. They're available in a ton of different plastics and runs. And I just thought it was a good kind of thought process to go with a disc that's really common and easy to find. There's a ton of different options out there, and in terms of the baseline, like the putting plastic ones, they're really common. The Optos are a little bit more difficult to find, but I still got myself 3 or 4 of these this year to have some backups, and this is the one I throw the most, and it is just a laser. 173 Opto Pure. This thing goes super far and straight for a putter. I mean, almost mid-range distance for sure, and this is probably without doubt a very likely candidate to be my one disc. If I was going to take one disc out on the course to play, this would be it. And it's a great beginner disc and something that experienced players can throw and get really functional shots out of as well. The Opto Pure has been a disc that's been really, really effective for me. I've been absolutely loving that thing for any of my just straight line approach shots and short range tee shots. So nice. But yeah, basically flies like a mid or mid-range distance with a putter kind of flight characteristics. So I love that disc. And also within the same kind of thought process, I'm switching, and I have switched to the Harp. The Caltrop is still kind of in the mix. We'll talk about that a little later, but I haven't carried it for several rounds in a row, and many rounds in a row at this point. I've not carried it, not needed it. I'm throwing these VIP Harps. And it's essentially optoplastic. VIP and Lucid and Opto are all the same, so I may call it Opto throughout the bag depending on what it is, just to keep it simple. So basically Opto Harps, VIP Harps. I have this one here with the Venom stencil. That's my go-to. I'm throwing this thing a ton. It is a really nice workable stability that I can throw like my nice chip shots with it up high and let it just dump to the basket on a really nice line. But they also have a little more glide than the Origios or the soft harps. They aren't quite as flat and they trap a little more air. So I can throw this thing pretty far as well, and it's kind of functioning as my stable to overstable mid-range as well as my go-to approach disc for forehands and hyzer backhands. Just a great disc, and I actually feel really comfortable and confident spin putting with this thing. I've noticed that like just to pick it up and tap in a 15-20 footer sometimes it's like really automatic. I just straight in. I don't know. So sometimes I will just use that to kind of clean up short putts, because it's really easy to just straight in, straight out, and just bang, doesn't veer off the line at all. Then I have this red one here, just a backup. So I like having two. I've been doing this thing. I'll tell you guys about a little practice game that I kind of came up with for myself. I carry two of these, and if I have a wide open approach, I'll throw one forehand, one backhand. They're basically the same disc, but I throw one backhand, one forehand. It's been a really nice practice tool, helped me feel a lot more comfortable with my forehands. And my last in the bag video, I told you guys that I've been working on my forehands a lot, and I continue to do that, and it's really paid dividends. I mean, I've gotten so much more confident, and it's actually become somewhat of a strength. I've kind of turned a weakness into a strength, where I feel pretty good throwing those forehand approaches, to the point where I'm throwing more kind of forehand approaches on those open shots sometimes, just because of how confident I'm feeling with it. Almost to a detriment of my backhand form at times, because I'm leaning on that forehand and just feels really confident to just kind of flip out that harp and let it work. Two mid-ranges in the bag. I only have one Gobi right now because it's all I really need, but I have this sweet fire one that I did. This is a slightly domey, or pretty good dome first run, and this one's just a workhorse. I can throw that on any line. You guys know I love the Gobi, one of my favorite discs of all time, and I throw that one quite a bit still, but not quite as much as I was, because I can use the Pure and kind of some of those similar ranges. And then I have one fuse in the bag as well, which is my just stock Opto Aperture Laboratories fuse. This one is for anything that has to move left to right. Hyzer flips that just fly dead straight, tons of glide, great disc to hit a gap, because you can throw it down on that hyzer and really commit to it, and just know that you're going to hit that on a really nice line to kind of punch through a gap. I love to throw kind of a flippy disc on a steep hyzer to hit a gap, and this disc has worked out super well for that. And yeah, my go-to disc for anything that's moving left to right. Like if I need to throw an anhyzer around a corner, that's by far the disc I go to the most often. Moving on, I have one utility disc down here that I throw quite a bit, and it's almost exclusively a forehand disc, but I can use it for certain backhand shots as well, and it's the Goldline Pioneer. So kind of a Latitude Firebird Goldline plastic. This one, even shorter range, I can just throw it on that slight anhyzer kind of chop forehand, and it works really well. So I really like this disc for that, and I don't really have a Justice in the bag, because between the Harps and this Pioneer, I can pretty much cover all the same bases. The Harps for shorter range, and then this one I can check up on it, and it behaves very overstable. So great disc. I really like the Pioneer, and especially developing my forehand this year, I've started to really see the benefit of having that, you know, Firebird type disc in the bag, and carrying that thing all the time, no matter where I go, just to have that utility. Fairways. These are basically 9 speeds, but they fill the fairway slot for me. I have 2 Escapes. This one is just a workhorse one that I've had in the bag for a good few years now, and I've thrown this thing a ton, and it has not changed the flight characteristics at all. It just holds lines so nice. So this thing is kind of like the step up above the Pure and the Gobi in terms of the flight paths and the shot shapes that I'll use it for, which is to say that I can throw it on a lot of different shot shapes, and it's very neutral, but it has a good glide to it, and it's very consistent. I really like this one, and it's just a beat up, you know, scratchy top, you know, wipe stamp Lucid Escape, so it's not anything that's like difficult to obtain or replace, so I like that. And then I got this one. This is a little Metal Flake 173, and it was brand new up until a couple months ago when I first started throwing it. This one I got from Andy, and I like this one. This one's quite stable, and it's kind of knocked Grogu out of my bag. I like him so much. I like having him on the wall here, and I'm throwing this one because it's got Escape Glide, but it's got a little bit closer to culverin stability to it, so I really like that one. I can throw that one flat, and it flies real nice, and it has really good distance. One of the best things about the Escape is that it has almost distance driver distance capability with that kind of slower control speed flight characteristics. So I just love that disc. Really phenomenal flyer. And then we have two more. I do have a culverin. This is my beat up gold line, but it did have a break-in. You know, it changed for sure from where it started, but it's settled in now and hasn't changed for a good few months that I've noticed at all. And it flies really straight with a nice fade. So this is like what I'll throw if I can't reach it with the Harp, and I want to throw something that's straight to fade, or a long hyzer approach with something that's not quite as beefy as a Pioneer. This one will get me up and down, and I like that one for any time I need to like throw like a driver approach shot. Maybe I'm like way out of position on a par 3 or on a longer, you know, par 4 type approach. That's a great disc for that. Then I have my old DigiWeight 170 Fury. This one is a hyzer flip disc, turnover disc, basically the same exact flights that I'll use the fuse for, but with more distance, and I love that one. Great disc. And after that, we're on to distance drivers, and I only have one mold. They're all Havocs. This is it. This is it, guys. This is all I'm really throwing. Now, I know on my last in the bag video, I kind of glanced over the fact that I switched away from the Thrashers that I've been throwing for several years, and very openly complimentary of. I mean, I posted videos talking about them, how much I love them in all kinds of different ways, and I still do like that mold and enjoy it very much. But just to kind of rewind a little bit and give you guys the details, I got this Havoc from my friend Chris Caulfield just to review. I started throwing it and I love it. This is my most stable one still. It's a pop top gold line burst, and this one I can throw as hard as I want to. It'll fly straight to fade, and basically, yeah, same slot as the Harp. Culverin stepped up to distance driver. It's this one. This is the one I'll throw more into a headwind if I want more fade, all that kind of stuff. And in testing this one and enjoying it so much, I decided that I would get another one, and to get something as different as I could but still have the same mold, to try to, you know, test it out a little bit. I got this Air Havoc, and this one is phenomenal and probably still my go-to thrower in most conditions. Even in windy days, I was playing out Rooster Rock in the wind a couple days ago, and I threw this disc and got all kinds of great flights out of it, even in the lighter weights. 157 for the Air Havoc. And the air plastic is gummy. I can really grab it. It just gets such a nice grab in my hand. And the Havocs, basically, what it boils down to is that they have the glide and the distance that I was getting out of the Thrashers. They're a tiny bit faster, and they're just more consistent. I was having a lot of trouble controlling the Thrashers. I had so many different variations that I was testing and using that I was just getting kind of confused by them, and it wasn't working out very well. I was starting to have too many of them that would kind of either fade out on me or flip, and, you know, I was having trouble dialing them in. And the Havoc's been just way consistent for how far and how straight they fly. The Air is probably my favorite one. It's my max distance disc, and it's the disc I throw the most off the tee these days, especially calm conditions, or just anytime I need to get a maximum full flight out of it. This one right here is my most broken in, just standard opto, and this one, I don't even know the weight on this guy. Let me look. Yeah, 175, so max weight on this guy. But this one is a little bit more broken in, and this one is a big workhorse as well that I throw a ton. This is a disc I'll throw a lot at a place like Blue Lake, where I'm worried about maybe losing my Air Havoc, which is definitely probably the most difficult disc to replace in my bag currently, would be that one. So I really don't want to deal with that, losing that, so I'll throw this one instead. And because I've leaned on it so many times in those situations, now I've grown to really enjoy and appreciate this one. I wouldn't want to lose that one either, but somebody's got to be, you know, the sacrificial lamb, as it were. And then I have this dyed one that's probably my go-to main workhorse Havoc that I throw the most. I throw this one a ton as well. So those are my 4 distance drivers, and that's basically my bag, right? Like, that's all the stuff that I'm throwing the most often. But I do have some other stuff. Okay, bringing up the Rebel, show you guys a couple things. First of all, I got little Hobbs hanging out on the bag. He's been a great addition. And I do have one of these DD retrievers. Shout out to DD who sent me one of these to test and review. I've not got the video done yet, but I have been carrying and really enjoying that one quite a bit. And in here we have some other discs that are kind of on the outskirts of my bag. I think this Fury is likely to end up back in my bag because it's more understable than the one I showed you. So I've been carrying this one again. 166 is my Ace disc from Stub Stewart, hole 7 back in 2018. And one of my favorite discs I've ever had. This one's kind of been at home because I don't want to lose it, but you know what? It's gotta fly. I need to let some of these fly sometimes because, you know, you get concerned and you're worried about it and you don't want to lose a disc, but then what good is it to you just kind of sitting around on a shelf? You know, it's tough to kind of figure that out, but it is what it is. Man, I'm sweating. It's hot back here. This big giant filming light. You guys don't know the struggle. Okay, these guys are 2 discs you guys are very familiar with and you've seen a lot if you've paid attention to the channel. My beloved Caltrop, aced with this disc in 2017 as well. I've had it in the bag since the day it showed up here to review. 173 Caltrop, and the only reason I'm not throwing it and carrying it is because I just don't need it with the Harps. I got the Harps to use for forehand, and then testing them backhand, they work just as well. So I really just don't need it. That being said, we're heading into the winter months, and this one might end up in the bag again to have a little bit more of a soft landing than the Opto VIP Harps. So still a disc I love and trust, would recommend to anyone. I don't believe these are going to be produced anymore from what I understand. So that was another part of the thought, is that, you know, if I can get real comfortable with the Harps, maybe that would make more sense. But I still love the Caltrop, and it's a disc that's not going anywhere. I still have my stock of them. I'm going to hold on to them, and they may end up on the course at any given time. And then the soft magnet. Once again, as we talked about earlier on in the video, if I was headed out to a Hoardings hideout, canyon course, or something along those lines, it's very likely that a magnet will be in the bag, if not certain that I'll carry at least one soft magnet for some of those shots. But I've been trying to get more comfortable using the Pures because they aren't quite as understable, so I can kind of throw them more flat. And also, having the forehand, I don't need a disc to naturally turn to the right as much on those short-range shots as I used to with these soft magnets. A lot of times I'd be throwing them even on slight hyzer, hit them and let them move to the right naturally. I don't need that now that I can throw a decent forehand approach. So the magnet, a little bit on the outskirts of the bag, and it's the only non-Latitude 64 produced disc that is anywhere near contention to be thrown. I have a couple of Thrashers that I might carry occasionally if I want something more flippy than my Havocs that I've been kind of also testing, but I think the Fury is more likely to fill that role. So the soft magnet's still a great disc, still probably my favorite disc of all time. I still have my original one represented here on the channel in all of my videos, but has not been thrown for many rounds in a row. I've not used that disc. Okay, more Pures. This is just another not Italian Opto Pure. This one flies exactly like my orange one, although it's maybe a touch more stable because it hasn't been thrown as much. But this is just one that sometimes I'll carry 2, similar to what we talked about earlier with the Harps, where I'll throw one backhand, one forehand. I'll do it with those as well. And sometimes I'll do like backhand turnover, forehand turnover. And yeah, it's just been a fun game to help work on my game. And then I have some soft Pures that I got from one of my patrons, Kevin, and he sent me these, gave me a good deal on them. I started testing them recently, and I think it's pretty likely that one of these is going to be my main putter this winter. They fly real straight. They're a little more stable than the Ecos, but they still fly super straight as a thrower as well. And I wanted to have them for that, to have that softer ground play like we talked about with the Caltrops. You know, I wanted that in the Pure as well, so I got these for that purpose. But after putting with them a little bit recently, now that the temperature is starting to go down, I do think it's quite likely that I'll be using these during the winter months. If not, you know, if not all the time, because I like the Ecos, they're great, but I've always been more of a softer, gummier putter type guy, and I think those are likely to end up being in my bag as my main putters. And if not, I'll definitely have one in the bag as a thrower. I have this kind of more beat up, older run, slightly lighter weight too. I think this one's only 170, just a little bit light for a fuse, and this one floats for a long time. It's very understable, so if I'm going somewhere that's mid-range heavy, I'll probably bring that guy to have just a backup for my fuse, since I'm going to use it a lot in those situations, and also one that'll flip even easier than that Opto. That Opto is one that I can throw quite strong as long as I give it the hyzer that it needs. This one is more flippy, naturally, for sure. And final disc I'm kind of messing around with are the Lucid Captain from DD. I bought a pair of these just recently. I was going to dye them. I was going to mess around with them. I'm looking for something more understable, naturally flippy than the Havocs for me and my arm speed. These will probably fit the bill, but I need to break them in first. The nice kind of happy accident that happened here is that these fly very similar to my Air Havoc, which is one of my go-to flyers, and also, as we said earlier, a disc that's going to be very difficult for me to replace if I lose it. These are not difficult to find and kind of fly very similar. They have some dome to them, so they catch some air, they float for a long time, and even though they are flippy, they do kind of fade back because they're 13 speed. They do kind of come out, so I can throw these quite far, and we'll see. I might try to break one of these in to have that little bit more flippy distance driver, or I may end up bagging these if I lose my Air Havoc, God forbid, or if I want to have something that flies very similar to that in the bag that I can throw again and not have to worry about losing my good Havoc there. That's pretty much all I got for you in this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have not heard about it, also, while I still have you here, any of you that are still watching here are probably folks that really love the channel, I would imagine, and appreciate it. I have some apparel that is pre-order available right now from Diameter Apparel. It's really awesome. Really excited with the way it all came out. We have exclusive designs. We have a basic Disc Golf Nerd t-shirt. We have the Gorge Sunset design that I kind of helped create. We have a Mount Hood topographic design that Andy helped create. We have women's cuts. We have jerseys, all that stuff available. So definitely check out the link in the description. You can find the pre-order for that. And then hopefully soon we'll just have the full storefront set up for you guys to order stuff whenever you want. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support very much. The year is almost over here. We have passed 13,000 subscribers, so I'll definitely be doing a giveaway for that soon. I'll probably be doing a holiday giveaway as well in December, as I often do or have been doing for several years now. So stay tuned. Channel's not going anywhere. I love you all. Thank you for your support, and I'll talk to you later. Cheers.